Good morning. You're watching Much Ado About Something, and I'm Donna. Thank you for joining me today. If you're new around here, welcome. And if you've been around for a while, welcome back. Well, I'm in the kitchen today. I have pulled out everything that I've got. We'll go ahead and wash my hands. I've pulled out everything that I have gotten out of this refrigerator that I can make a soup or a stew with today. You know, one of my efforts is not to waste anything, and I do not want to waste a lot of food. This is a habit I have done all my life, and of course I was raised doing this. And I've got this big pot out here today, and what I have in here is a chopped onion. I've already chopped it. I had some beef left that I chopped up, and then I had a piece of a steak that was left. So I've cut the meat off of it, all that I could, and I've put this bone in here in my soup pot. And I'm heating this stuff up, and I'm adding my ingredients. Now, I have pulled out the things out of the refrigerator. This is some Brussels sprouts that I'm going to have to go ahead and chop up, and I'm going to put them in the stew. These are leftovers from this week. It's some carrots and different things, and I put them in this bag because I knew I'd be making stew this week. This is a little bit of leftover macaroni and cheese. And this is some rice. This is the kind of meat that I chopped up, and I've decided that I'm going to just put this back in the refrigerator and put it in the crock pot and serve it as a different meal. And then I have some cold cuts that was in the refrigerator. I'm going to put them back in the refrigerator and serve them, have hot sandwiches one day this week. But I've pulled out everything that I think needs to be gone through, and this is what I've ended up with. Now, I've got Brussels sprouts here, and I love Brussels sprouts. I love brassicas of all kinds. I love cabbage, cauliflower, broccoli, Brussels sprouts. You know, just any of the brassica family. To me, they have such healthy ingredients in them, and they're so good for you that it's hard to go wrong for them there with me. My husband bought me these Brussels sprouts, and I didn't get them worked into the meal plan at their peak of freshness, but that's not going to stop me from using these. I've washed these really good. I'm going to go ahead and chop these up kind of smaller, and I'm going to add them to my stew today. In no way, shape, or form am I going to throw these Brussels sprouts away. First of all, they're kind of expensive. I think these were over $5 for this little bag of Brussels sprouts. And I'm trying not to be wasteful. I'm trying to always eat and use up whatever we have and make a good meal out of it. Now, I love stews, and the thing about making a soup or a stew out of what you have in the refrigerator is it's never quite the same. It's not like following a recipe. You're just taking ingredients that you have and you're using them to make a meal. And that is a great thing to do. First of all, it helps you when you burn out eating the same thing over and over. If you'll learn to cook with what you have and to make delicious meals with what you have, it'll help you your food to be more interesting. You know, some people want the exact same flavor, and restaurants go and add a lot of ingredients, and food producers, they add a lot of ingredients and work really hard to have food consistency so that it's always the same when you go and reach for that brand or product of food. The thing about that is while you love, some people love eating the same thing, most of us get burnt out when we're eating the same things and it's fixed the exact same way all the time. You get food exhaustion. You just get tired of eating that. But one of the great and interesting things when you go in your kitchen and start pulling out whatever leftovers you have, 9 times out of 10, you've bought things that you already like. And so that right there means that when you start making your soup or stew, that you're probably going to like what's in it if you've already had it for dinner on a different day. So this is basically just leftovers. It's not always food that I've prepared. Sometimes it's it's food that I've bought and I just never got to getting around to incorporating it into my menu. For example, Donald bought me these Brussels sprouts, and I never had a day, a slow enough day to slow down and steam these and eat them like I normally do. So here they are, my beautiful Brussels sprouts that Donald knew that I liked and he bought for me. And now I have them. Now there's quite a few of these here. It's a kind of a big bag. I'm making a big pot of stew today, so that's perfectly okay. I'll be able to work these in. But if I wasn't, I could have these and just use half of them in my stew and freeze the other half. So if you've got a lot of something left over, don't think you have to use it all. I'll simply love these, and I'm going to incorporate them into this stew, and it's going to be okay that there's a lot of them. Food's expensive. You don't want to waste it. You don't want to just throw away tons of things that you've bought every year. And this is one of the things you can do that incorporate the food that you have, and you be sure to use it up in order to be not wasteful, to be a good steward of what you have and not be pouring your money down the drain or in the trash can throwing away perfectly good food that could be used for something else. Now, I absolutely love soups and stews. I love them. And I love them because there's such a variety in what you have to eat here. And I think once you get a big pot of stew or a big pot of soup made, and it's got all that variety of ingredients in it, it's just interesting and very delicious. Now, I've got beef stock here. I mean, this is it's turkey stock. You know, I cooked a turkey and I saved the stock out of this. And look at this beautiful gelatinous stock that I got out of this refrigerator from where I saved from cooking that turkey. Now, I either make gravy out of this or I just use it in any kind of recipes. Anything that I'm cooking that the broth is needed in. I mean, don't ever throw that broth away when you're cooking a turkey or a roast or anything like that. Those drippings in there, I mean, that is flavor. It's nutrition and it's flavor. And if you can, you want to always incorporate that into your meal. It's not only a money-saving tip, but it's also just a sensible tip. Now, I've run water in this to rinse this out, and I'm adding a quart of water. Now, this bone, I'll take this out right before serving, but I'm going to cook this bone because there's still a lot of meat on it that I couldn't cut off, and there's also a lot of flavor in that bone. So I'm adding that to my soup, but I will take that bone out before this soup is served. Just so you know that that big bone won't be in there when it's time to serve the soup. Now I'm going to add all of these leftover vegetables, just tiny little bits. When you cook a meal and you serve and you've got just maybe a half of a cup or a few tablespoons of something left, put you a bag in your refrigerator. And if you're going to be able to use it within 3 days, then leave it in your refrigerator. And if you're not going to be able to use it within 3 days, then just put it in your freezer. It doesn't have to be a bag if you don't want to use these bags. It can be a bowl. It can be any kind of container that opens and closes well, and that you can just save your stuff for the week, your leftovers for the week, to make this soup or stew. And of course, your soup and stew will vary depending on the leftovers that you have to put into it. So see, it's never going to be exactly the same. It's going to change up every time you make it depending on the leftovers you have to add to it. Now this is rice. I'm just going to go ahead and add that rice to it. That's a lot of rice. I usually wouldn't add that much, but I am today because that's what I have left over and that's what I'm going to use. So I've got some rice, some pasta, and a bag of leftover carrots and pinto beans and leftover, vegetables and stuff like that. That's what I'm incorporating into this today. And I may have to add 1 more quart of water. And that'll be okay because that'll give it more liquid for it to cook in. It'll cook down a little bit as it simmers and stews. Now, I love potatoes mixed in with this kind of stew. But I'm not going to add any potatoes because I've got that pasta and I've got that rice in there. And that'll be enough starch in this stew. So I'm not even going to add any of that. And I've got a little bit of those pinto beans. So that's going to add a lot of base to this stew. So I'm not going to be adding much of that. I'm just going to add 1 more quart of water and I'm going to go ahead and let this cook for a while. I ended up adding 2 more quarts of water to this. So this is a quart of turkey broth, 3 quarts of water, and then all of our leftovers that we've added. Now I have a gallon of liquid already in this, and then I have all these ingredients. Needless to say, this is a pretty big pot of soup. Yours doesn't have to be this big. You can certainly break up your leftovers and your ingredients that you're adding to your soup or stew. You can certainly divide that and not use as much if you don't want this big of a pot. But I've got a lot of people to feed and I'll be eating on this for several days, our family. So this size of a pot is not unusual for us. But adjust this to your particular needs. Now I'm not going to spice this up yet. I'm going to let this simmer some. And then I'm going to think about the spices that I'm going to add to this. Now I'm cooking this, I'm simmering this kind of slow today. I'm not in a hurry to get this done. I'm just simmering it slowly. I think I'm going to add a can of corn. Let's see. I'm going to get some bay leaves and some celery, ground celery. I'm going to get some garlic. I'm going to put about a tablespoon of garlic. It's time to spice this up a little bit. I'm going to put about a quarter of a teaspoon of ground celery and about a quarter of a teaspoon of ground bay leaves. And then I'm going to put some salt. Now taste this before you salt it because your other stuff may already be salted quite a bit. Might be salted enough. Sorry about bumping into that. Put a little pepper in. And that's about all of the seasonings that we'll add to this, that I'll add to it. Now everything's been simmering together for a few hours. Now I like mine served with crackers. You can serve it with anything that you like. You can add cheese to it if you'd like. And there we go. We have an economical, delicious, nutritious dish of stew. Thank you for joining me today. And like always, until next time.